All right, you guys. So, I officially call this meeting to order at 5:04 p.m. And we will begin with roll call. Secretary Laza.
President Taylor.
Present.
Vice President Dusty.
Present.
Treasurer Weiner. Speaker Jadali.
Present.
Senator Tenzio.
Present.
Senator Sonia. Senator Gerges.
Here.
Senator Alto.
Here.
Senator Mardick.
Here.
Senator Ashcroft. Senator Haskins.
Here.
Senator Costa.
Present.
Senator Waco.
Present.
Senator Taylor.
Here.
Senator Walsh.
Present.
Senator Dar.
Here.
Senator Musik. Senator Zaki.
Present.
Senator McGurvey.
Present.
Senator Boychuk.
Present.
Senator Ward.
Here.
Senator Sack.
Present.
Senator Hooks.
Present.
Senator Oliver.
Present.
Senator Schrockman.
Present.
Senator Aziz. Senator Cheatham. Senator Raj Pruitt. Senator Carlton.
Here.
Senator Chetan Menendez. Senator Sendez.
Here.
Senator Watson.
Present.
Senator Akram.
Present.
Senator Sharp.
Here.
Director Bolin.
Here.
Director Grotzman. Director Royak. Director Azier. Director Cox.
Here.
Director Cole.
Here.
Director Fowler. Advisor Bergen.
Here.
And Dean Yarborough.
Present. All right, we have a quorum. Okay, I will begin by opening the floor for any announcements. Vice President Adamski.
Okay, I have a couple announcements. First, at the last Faculty Senate meeting, we discussed a lot about student-teacher evaluations. I know this is something we all look forward to at the end of each semester. If there's any suggestions that you have to improve those and the feedback that's received by those, let me know. We're going to meet with them on the 16th, so anytime before that. Second, there's a student named Dale who wants to leave a legacy on campus before he graduates this year. He is trying to raise $5,000 to get a bench named after the past, present, and current students of CSU, and is looking for help. So if there's any senators looking for a senator project, something different and interesting that maybe you could help out on. If you're interested, let me know. I'll get you in contact with him. Next, I'm on the committee for the 50th anniversary. We're looking for speakers or guests that would really appeal to students. My suggestion was Betty White, and so we'll be doing a big campaign to get her to come, but as you can imagine, being almost 93, she's not the easiest. But we're going to try anyway, but we're also looking for a backup plan, so please email me with those suggestions. And finally, I don't know if anybody else has seen this on the news, but there was a student on recently that was talking to the news about being almost homeless. And so I reached out to the Women's Center, and they'll be taking food donations. So this is last minute. It's not really been advertised yet, but we're going to put a box out for food donations at Late Night Study. Please spread the word. We'll talk later about the prizes and how you earn tickets for prizes, but that'll also be an opportunity for that.
Okay, thank you. Director Bolin.
For my update, I will need people to know the days I'm working for late night, which means looking at your final schedule. I'm going through the roster, so I need people to work these dates. It's one of the biggest things SGA does, and it's also probably when we do our most interaction with students. So I need people the day to work, and if you have some reason to not working, you can say that you can't work, but I need to know why. It's not just because you don't want to, because this is a really big thing, and it's really important here at SGA.
Okay, thank you. Secretary Laza.
If you need the final schedule, I posted on the window. Just public service announcement of our office.
Okay. President Fedorov.
Are you saying the final schedule of?
For the semester, like the finals, like
Oh,
the final
okay.
is.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, moving on. I now entertain a motion to ratify the meeting minutes from November 15th, 2013. Senator Sharp.
So move.
Senator Sapp.
Second.
Thank you. Now, is there any discussion on the matter? And are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes general consent. And we'll begin this meeting with a few special guests. We have Assistant Vice President Claire Ron here, and the Director of Parking, Ben Rogers, and they're here to tell us a little bit about the parking rates and whatever else they have to talk about. So if you could welcome them to the floor.
Thank you very much for having us. I'm Claire and this is Ben. I want to talk to you a little bit about the parking rate proposal that we're considering for FY15. That would be the class year that starts next fall. Okay. Quick reminder: the structure of the parking program is twofold. There are white parking hang tags that are considered the standard product, and there are green parking hang tags that are considered a premium product. And that's how we've implemented over the last couple of years, how prices are structured, and then the inventories of what you buy. How many people in the room buy a hang tag? Okay. How many people buy a white hang tag? How many people don't buy a hang tag at all?
Amen.
You can raise that. Parking director doesn't buy a hang tag. He wants. Okay. So I want to talk to you about what we're thinking. The first thing is that we're thinking we are not going to raise the white hang tag price. What that means for students is that price is still less than students paid in FY12. Okay? We've held the line on that one. That's our standard product. We know it means you have to walk. We want to hold the product at that price. So there's no price increase for the white hang tag. Okay? For the green hang tag, we are, and let me fill in the faculty staff piece in case you have folks that you want to be able to talk to about that. For faculty staff, we are also not raising the white hang tag price. That means that they've had the same price since FY12. Students saw a reduction in price when we kicked off this new parking program in FY12. So we cut that price for all of you, but we left faculty staff flat, okay? And we want to let you know that the future of parking, any chances that Ben and I have to increase the amount of parking is likely to be in the white category, because in case you've haven't looked recently at the campus core, it's full, and there isn't any room to build anymore. So as we look at opportunities to increase our parking inventory, it's very likely to be in that white category, which is why we also think it's really important to hold that price as low as we can hold it. For the green rates, we're currently considering a 2% increase on green hang tags for students and for staff. Now remember, students always pay less than faculty and staff. You're why we're here. Cleveland State wouldn't have anything to do if you weren't all taking classes and attempting to graduate. And so for the history of the parking program, students have always paid less than faculty and staff, and Ben and I continue to honor that and to be absolutely certain that that's part of our business model. Let me tell you some dollar amounts, so perhaps that helps. You probably know stuff by heart. But for students, the 2% comes out to be $5 on a semester hang tag or $4 on a summer semester tag. So that's what we're talking about, is for the 2 academic years, if you do fall and spring, we're talking about an additional $10. I've already told dining that you might buy 2 less Starbucks from us because we're taking it away from lunch parking. Okay, so I get that. I know what that means, and I don't want to be disrespectful. Parking is an expensive part of what you have to do. We're less expensive than the textbooks, but we're more expensive than you'd like us to be, and we know that.
Yes.
At this point, there are also a couple of other changes that I think are important for students to know. The first is that we're proposing starting next year that residence hall students would pay an overnight surcharge if they have their vehicle on campus. Currently, they pay nothing for the fact that their car stays on campus overnight all of the time, okay? We're proposing it goes from $0 to $25, okay? Commuters who live in walking distance have been paying $25 for the overnight privilege for the last few years. We are proposing that overnight privilege for walkers, Reserve Square, wherever, Langston, that they would pay $75 instead of $25 a semester for that overnight privilege. And most of the properties that our students live, they do have a parking option. It just happens that CSU is cheaper. And so that then limits what we're able to do for other students if they're choosing to park here. So those are the student-oriented pieces. related to rates, and Ben and I want to listen if you've got questions or comments about that part of it. And I think you have to say they can speak in now. See, I've learned.
Thank you. Senator Costa.
What are the reasons that the prices are increasing?
I think we both tackle it. The first reason that there's an increase or prices haven't been increasing is because we're trying to distinguish between the two products we offer. We offer, like Claire said, the standard product and the premium product. And right now we have an over-demand for our premium product. And so to eliminate congestion and try to separate where people are parking, there's that price gap that's going in between the green and the white to try to get people to shift mentality to accept the white collection.
The other fact about parking and how we support the parking facilities, the parking staff, and the parking debt on campus is that 70% of our revenue does come from hang tag sales, students and faculty and staff, and that's a big number. And so we continue to see an increase in our debt obligation, and we also are looking at some additional just cost of living increases related to the fact that we have university staff who work for us. Ben runs a very efficient operation and is always looking at ways to spend less so that he's able to increase the contribution that his department makes to the reserves that support the garages. So, for example, Ben and I this week got the price tag for a repair on the central garage. Some of you will remember we started a repair a couple of years ago, did a phase one. That cost us just under $2 million to do. The price tag for the second part of that work is just over $4 million. That's our responsibility, that's not the university's responsibility. They can assist us if we need to borrow, but again, we would have to repay. So we need to be able to be good stewards of all of the concrete that they've given us to take responsibility for. So I hope that helps a little.
Director Bowling.
My one problem is that it seems that the pricing is increased, but a lot of times, like, there's not a lot of extra lots. And it seems like recently from the Langston, those lots were we never got lots here from I don't know how many lots were taken away from the Langston being built. And then also, even with these new dorms that are being built, where the Jewish Federation building is, that's more lots being taken away that are inexpensive. And my feeling is I don't always enjoy when stuff's being increased and we're getting product taken away.
Yeah.
So it just feels like it's off balance to me.
Understandable. The Langston property cost us a little bit more than 500 parking spaces is what I recall. 600 parking spaces. There's the assumption was that the students who chose to live at the Langston would park there. They're not all doing that. So that changes some of that performance just a little bit. And there was never an intention, the intention to replace that parking was someone we built the south garage, because it was on a lot that only had a couple hundred spaces, and we built south garage bigger. So we actually replaced the Langston spaces before we lost them. The Jewish Federation building, that's a loss of neighborhood parking, that's not CSU parking. I know I have several employees who park there because it's a great rate and it's not a very far walk. That's up to Cleveland and the owners of all that property to figure out what they want to do about that. Because that's actually market rate housing, and it's going to be priced very similar, I think, to what the Langston was priced by the time they get finished with it. But it is unfortunate that the neighborhood loses those couple of lots because those prospect lots have been inexpensive and very convenient. But we can't control for that.
And I can't officially speak to it, but the information I've been given on the Jewish Federation building is that they will have 3 levels of parking and then 5 levels of parking on top. So there will be parking from that side.
My second question was, I forgot it.
Senator Dorkinson.
Yeah.
Did you call me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm a little bit further there. You said it was a $9 increase through the year, correct?
I said it was a $10 increase, it's $5 each semester, fall and spring, and then summer's another $4, so if you buy all
Okay, so
3.
14.
Right.
I just asked Bob really quickly how many students commute, and he said it was 16,000 yearly.
That's how many commuter students we have. It said that I don't know how many people drive. Those are 2 different numbers.
Well, let's do 14,000. And let's multiply that by, he said it was 14.
Right, but we don't have
Hang
14,000
on.
spaces.
That's just under $200,000 that you're taking from the students per year. What are you planning on giving back to them?
Well, actually, we're not taking that because we only have about 4,300 parking spaces on campus. Some of those are sold to students and some of those are still sold to faculty and staff. Parking returns the support of the building so that we work very hard to be certain that they're well maintained. So in exchange for buying a tag, we give you an opportunity to park on campus and hopefully in a safe and clean environment.
Well, if you're charging that much more, what do you plan on giving us out of that? Because that's an extra on top of what they're already paying for passes. And I mean, from what I hear, there's an extra, I think, couple lots that we're going to be losing as well. So what do you guys plan on doing with that 200,000? Because multiple people buy parking passes. You can't quite go out of space because they're used several times throughout the day. So
we're not projecting that we're going to make $200,000 more off these increases, candidly. What we are intending to do is the revenue that we do not need to support the operation is going to go to repairing the central garage, candidly, for the next couple of years. It's the single largest. It also is the oldest. It was the original. It used to be called UPF, University Parking Facility. And so we need to support that because we don't believe that students are interested in seeing that facility not be available or have less spaces. I don't know if that helps or not.
Not really.
Treasurer Wainer.
Could you just be a little more specific about the debt, what debt you just put through the garages have and how much, I guess, and where?
You know, I didn't bring that with me, but I can give you some ballpark. I know that on the two new facilities, we pay annually about $1 million a year for Prospect and South. It's going to go up to, I think, 1.1 next year.
1.13 next year.
And then on the
I think we have between $25 and $30 million in parking debt.
Okay. Would you say like paying for like that debt service is substantially, it's all coming from the hang tag sales? Or?
It's coming from any revenue that, as I said, 70% of our revenue is hang tags.
Okay.
And so 70% of what we're able to pay on our debt.
And the rest is like the tickets or?
Right,
all those
it's
surcharges?
special events, it's citations, it's daily, the cash partners.
Okay. So do you, this is, I guess, another high-level ballpark thing. Do you think that hang tag sales at any price would be able to level off and then handle the debt service that you have, or can you project that maybe it's going to keep going up because debt service is going to keep going up?
You know, at this point, Ben and I are involved in several discussions to take a look at what the future of the debt is, and is there any means by which the university, which is big, I mean, is a large financial institution, is able to assist us in what we have to pay annually. And also, we're looking at the schedules of how many years we'll be paying debt on garages versus the amount of repairs that we need. So we are looking seriously, as any business needs to see what's the snapshot look like as far as our assets, how do we maintain them and how do we pay them off. Is there ever a time when we're going to stop increasing parking? I mean, we've held the weight rates now since FY12. Actually, it's cheaper than FY12. So where we're able, we're certainly making those adjustments. We're not interested in increasing the cost for students to come to school or the cost for employees to come to work.
Right. Would you say that?
Do you have a suggestion?
No. I understand that
you guys are all smart. I thought I'd
sitting
ask.
there just, getting happy to get to charge more money. It's just because of the nature of the business. But do you think debt service is the major driving force of the increase in the price, or is it, half debt, half the cost of new investments, or is one thing more impactful than the other?
Primarily the debt service, and then the second thing is, as Claire alluded to, the reserve funds for construction projects, for maintaining the project.
Okay.
And so, for example, just briefly, if you don't mind, I previously, a few years ago, we asked for a rate increase because we needed money to fund technology. So at the November trustee meeting, we were given permission to spend about $700,000 to put technology into the central garage, the east garage, and the west garage, so that it's easier to swipe in, swipe out, nobody's checking their hang tags, no students are standing out in the cold. And also, the folks who come on evenings and weekends will begin to contribute to that cash sales pot, because when we're not here, parking's free. So, and we'd like that to not happen quite as often, because that'll take some relief off of the hang tags.
My last question, I'll shut up. Where can we get a copy of your budget? Is there any way, can we request a copy of the budget?
If you would like, I'd be happy to send it to the speaker and he can make it available. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Do you want us to defer?
No, you guys can finish up.
Okay. All right.
Before I call on you, Vice President Adamski, I would just like to make an announcement. brief thing. They have the floor, so if everyone could please be respectful of that. Vice President Dubsky.
Couple questions. Sure. When I lived in Euclid Commons, I recalled that I had a $25, I thought it was an overnight, but I guess it was just for parking in Prospect Garage.
Yep.
So would they have an additional 25? So they're technically paying 50 then? Okay. Then, what's the difference between the citations and saying like not a valid hang tag?
Well, not a valid hang tag is a citation. So if you're parking in a,
It's just separate on,
right.
okay. So like what would?
That's because on the sheet, there's a recommendation that that amount increase, because we still haven't gotten people's attention that parking without a hang tag isn't a good idea. So we're trying to make it an economic, trying to create an economic impact for people that choose to park where they belong or where they pay.
So the no valid hang tag says 35, but the citation is just 30. I guess I'm kind of confused if they're the same thing.
Okay, so, yeah, so last year when we did our pricing and our new rules for this year, what we did is we said, we found our two most active or most written citations, and we increased those by $10, where we increased the rest of them by 5. So where it says other citations, or citations in that first category, that's talking about the majority of all citations. The second one is those 4 specific citations have escalated higher or faster than the rest of them because they're such a common problem.
Okay. And then if somebody's getting their 4th offense, what's being done? Like, if they have 4 already.
Great question.
So we immobilize vehicles after $200, which is either a boot or a tow, and then we take payment and we try to sell them permits. A lot of times if students hit certain thresholds, they might get turned over to the judicial board, where judicial makes decisions if they can remain on campus or if they no longer have privileges for parking on campus.
Thank you.
President Bureau?
Yeah, just a quick question about the repairs and the funding. Do you know, I don't even know if this is something that was allowable under the proposal, but were there any requests made to the capital budget proposal for that include like parking repairs or upgrades and technology?
The first answer is that the capital budget and the capital budget request from the university is consistently an academically based decision process, as it should be. Secondly, because parking is considered an auxiliary, we are not, while we can benefit from debt that is borrowed by the university, we have to assume full responsibility for repayment. And so that happens in the process outside of the capital budget. Because you know, some really exciting things that were mentioned at Senate, you know, classroom and laboratory repairs are really the key piece moving forward for the capital budget, as it should be.
Sure.
Senator Ward? Yes, Senator Ward, sorry.
Thank you. I was looking at this and I see that there's a proposed $75 increase for the overnight parking for commuters. Is that just to deter commuters from wanting to park on campus? Because, I mean, if you choose to be a commuter, generally you're choosing to live a cheaper lifestyle than living on campus. And parking around campus is extremely expensive. I used to live in Reserve Square with $100 a month. So is that just to deter people from parking on campus? Or is there, I mean, what's the reason for making a commuter pay more just to park overnight?
We are providing parking for the class day and for the residential students. We didn't design our program and we no longer have enough parking spaces to consistently provide at no additional surcharge parking for the folks in the neighborhood. And so what we're trying to do is we're simply trying to get, and again, this is, your cost per semester is still going to be less in some cases, depending on where you live, than if you bought it from someone else. But there is an effort here to be able to have people who are using more services than normal pay for that.
But not to sound silly, but do you have a high amount of people parking overnight on campus? I mean,
Yes, we do.
like all the lots are filled up?
So what's happening, for example, when we use the Langston build their apartments, they build a big parking lot, and they charge additional for their parking. What happened is the students, the residents that live at Langston decided just to utilize the CSU parking permit and occupy parking space, which then takes our inventory down when there's plenty of parking supplied by Langston. So I think the methodology here is to make it available during the daytime as well by the students who find it more economically advantage to park on their apartments complex would open up 24/7 parking on campus.
Senator Mardick?
Yes, I have a white parking pass. And
I remember you raised your hand.
And I park behind Penn Tower.
Uh-huh.
No, not Penn Tower. Langston, the new Langston.
Got it.
And I see a vast amount of parking spaces over there. And I'm just wondering, is there a way how we can like lower the white parking passes instead of the green one, and make more money if you sell less of the more of the green versus the white, because everybody wants the green ones. I mean, instead of the white ones. Because maybe lowering the prices of the white ones would increase
Increase the volume.
Yes, on the white ones.
At this point, we haven't noticed that, but there are some conversations underway as to whether or not moving forward, not in the FY15 proposal at this time, that the further away we get from campus, perhaps there'd be price breaks. If we find ourselves having to buy additional property, and it gets even further away, that tiering on the white pricing would perhaps become less expensive if you were willing to walk even further.
Because I understand you guys are trying to differentiate between the green and the white. I was just seeing maybe a 2% decrease of the white ones.
So, yeah, that's a good point. We'll look at it. The one thing to keep in consideration is we sell it at green on a regular basis, but we don't typically reach white capacity. So a lot of times when we don't have green, people choose a different alternative rather than going to white, even though the cost might be cheaper for a white. So, and then also, as Claire mentioned earlier, in FY12, I think it went from 226 down to 191, so there was a price drop in 2012.
Okay, Secretary Alassa.
I only have one issue with parking. I'm an avid green anything buyer, and I love it and appreciate the, convenience. But my issue is if I don't have class until 11 a.m., I can't sleep in anyways, because if I get here after 9 a.m., all my garages are closed except for maybe business. So that's like my biggest thing, and especially with this increase, like I have no interest in paying a higher rate when I can't even get a parking spot. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't guarantee me a parking spot at 11 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And I buy it like on time, and I'm here all the time, and I use it, but you oversell these so much, and I don't think the price increase is going to discourage that. And I don't want to have to pay a higher price for it. So do you have any plans to like alleviate some of that congestion?
Well, the equipment that we're installing, that we've been given permission to buy and installing, has some capacity that's going to allow us to do a better job through our social media of letting you know where spaces are. Our real estate here is really very limited, and so to begin to sell passes to the west garage versus the east garage versus the central garage, I think we would find we're serving less students than we're serving now, because everybody doesn't always want to be in that garage. Sometimes they'd rather be somewhere else. And so the campuses that do it that way, I think, have chosen to do it because of history as opposed to it being better service. So I do hope that the new technology will give us a chance so that, not while you're driving, you'll have to pull over so it's safe. You could check your app and see where the spaces are.
So my next thing would be, have you ever considered maybe selling hang tags like for a specific garage? Like personally, I want central garage. I don't care what it's gonna, I would actually want to pay more for central garage.
We're going to look at that when we have data. I mean, part of what Ben's been waiting for is this installation of this equipment will capture when all of you come and go and when all of the rest of the parkers come and go, so that we have an ability to begin to look at that. And it'll also allow us to sell a product that isn't necessarily a 5-day-a-week product, which is what we hear more from students than what you just asked for. Most students ask us to think about, is there a way to do a 2-day-a-week pass? Or a declining balance pass? Can I just buy 10 parks for the semester and not have to, those are what we hear more often. It's seldom that from students as opposed to employees that we hear the request of, can I just buy a specific?
Yeah, just, something like that.
It is, thanks.
All right, our last point of discussion, and just because of the interest of time, will be Senator Cheatham. I'm sure you guys all have great points, but we need to move on. So, Senator Cheatham.
Thank you. My issue was I'm an evening student, and the introduction of evening passes was great. The problem was they didn't start at 5 o'clock when my class started. Is there a way to get around that?
You know what? I have worked with the provost. Ben and I worked with the provost, and starting spring semester, that product is valid beginning at 3:30 p.m.
And what about weekend students? Or Do we get to see if they need a pass?
They do need a pass and there is a product available. But the biggest issue that we discovered, and the provost shared data with us about how students schedule their classes and when those classes start, was that we had missed the boat on the start time for that product. And so it's been corrected starting in spring. So if you buy that tag for spring, they went on sale December 1st. That is valid starting at 3:30, and we think that's going to you bet. Those of you who didn't get to speak with us today, we have the ability to accept comments through parking at csuohio.edu. Ben and I will see those messages and make an effort to respond. The only information I've promised to return to the speaker is a copy of the operating budget for the current year, and I will do so if you later in conversation, Mr. Speaker, find that you need other things, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both for stopping by. Okay, and we have another surprise guest. She didn't make it on the agenda just because I found out pretty late, but Provost McKeon is here to, I guess, introduce herself more or less to the Student Government Association.
No, that's not good. First of all, I want to commend you for your resilience and fortitude being at Fridays this time. In my student days, we were headed to some different venue at this time of day. So this just shows real dedication to the job. So thanks for this opportunity. I wasn't quite sure. My schedule's always a little crazy. I wasn't sure if I'd make it here or not. But welcome the opportunity. And Dr. Yarborough kind of, talked me down from 30,000 feet into the landing zone here. I had to park in another garage, you see. Every time I think my job is onerous and crazy, I always say, thank God I don't have parking. So I want to let you know, too, on day 2, parked in my reserved parking lot with my appropriate hang tag. I got a warning put on my windscreen from the parking attendant. I was parked in my spot with my hand tag. So I guess that particular person failed to go to their annual optical evaluation. we got that fixed pretty darn soon. To err is to be human, right? To err is to be human. We can all make mistakes, and to forgive is to be especially human. So I want to actually thank Claire for the great job she does, and I want to thank her for all her help and cooperation in working with us and being so receptive to the data that we showed in terms of when people were starting evening classes and the sheer volume. I think we said about 1,600 students starting from about 4 o'clock onwards. So I really appreciate her help and her willingness to work to that. So if the administrators can work, they can work to your benefit. I know some of the faces from the officers here, and it's good to meet the assembled masses. And occasionally comes and fixes my iPad as he works his way through school. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. Obviously, the big ticket item, the one that's really absorbing all of us, is the transition, as you might imagine. Whole 4-3 transition. For those of you who are graduating this spring, or even anybody graduating coming up this next Sunday? One? We'll see you there. I'll be the person standing for 3 hours reading out everything. Wear low heels. And those who are graduating in the spring, everybody comes in new. This will be irrelevant, but for everybody else in between, this transition from the 120 hours to 120 and the 4 credits to 3 credits is clearly an issue. And we have been steadily working our way through this. All the faculty and the departments and University Curriculum Committee have been working really, really hard. Your faculty have been working really hard to do all these conversions and get the courses changed and then get the programs up. And that is still a working process. I think, John, you were at Senate. They got the last slew of the courses through. And what we have been doing to really make this thing as smooth as possible, we have made a promise to all of you that we will hold you harmless in this process. There's only one caveat to that. If you see your advisor, which of course you do every day, which you do on a regular basis anyway, right? That is, the promise is good as long as you see an advisor. Now, don't all rush out and do it now, because we don't even have the transition guidance in place for you now, and of course registration will be in February. But we want to make sure it is as smooth, as easy to navigate as is possible. So I formed this thing called a transition team, which has a number of us in administration who deal with all this kind of stuff, and with some of the faculty representatives from the particular committees that deal with this, like the University Curriculum Committee and Admissions and Standards, and the chair, the president and the vice president of the Faculty Senate. And we are working through how to make this as smooth an operation as possible. That will involve two things. First of all, every program is going to produce a transition guide. We have already sent out to the various department of programs saying, these are the core principles that you should advise to, you should be adhering to. Here are kind of some sample questions the students might ask you, and here's the kind of right response. And we understand that having worked with this core, you then have to add on to that the things that are particular or peculiar to your program and study. And so we already are receiving from various departments of programs their draft transition guides, and the team is looking through this. And they're all posted on Blackboard for us to look at. And when they're all given the imprimatur to go ahead, they go back, and those will be the guides all the people in your respective programs will be working on. Now, we realize that this will also mean a little bit more greater duration and intensity of advising than is normal. And so we are also putting extra resources into all the departments and programs. We've also put some extra resources into the registrar's office, so those degree maps will be there and ready for you. And they will be ready, you know, I know it's all done a little differently if you're in business. Some of you here in the business college, you know, the advising is a central operation, almost similar in education. But if you're in class, if you're in science, it's done, you know, on there's a college level and then there's a departmental level. So it will be a little different every place, but the answers you get, the responses, the directions you are sent in should be similar. And what's going to happen, there's an email went out, some of you may have noticed, I know you all read your email, every email. Just went out to say, hey guys, remember this 4 to 3 thing? You'll be receiving communication in the coming weeks and months about this. Probably when you are home over the break, sometime before you depart, there will be a letter that will actually come. We do that because we want your parents to say, oh, there's something really official looking from CSU, I think you better open it. And that will be followed by a whole series of communication. We're working with marketing and everybody that we will communicate with you through the various media. There will be stuff on email, there will be physical copies, there will be Twitter, Facebook, we will use everything that there is. And I've spoken to John and others already, we want to work with SGA and others to make sure we get the message out. We'll use the Cauldron, we'll use, you know, we'll use all the newspapers. We're thinking of having a competition for the best poster that we could get to try and make sure people are aware of this. There'll be stuff in the library, there'll be stuff in this building here. Dr. Yarbrough will be working with us. In other words, you're going to get a blitzkrieg of communication, so there should be nobody saying, nobody told me about the 4 to 3 transition, and you turn up, you know, trying to register for stuff. We will not be asking you to go to your advisors until early in the spring, when you'll be normally approaching that registration period, because we want to make sure everything is in place and all the guides are there. So no point going now and saying, I'm going to try and start working this all out now. There is a plan B. We're going to have a plan B team, so that if you go to your various departments and majors and having tried a number of places, you still don't get a satisfactory answer, there will be an email and a kind of 1-800 number to call that will be sitting there. There will be staff around the clock as much as possible. And there will be evening sessions as well as, you know, weekends and days. So those people will be there for you. So that's the really important thing, that you know what to do. And of course, the normal process will be working for people who need waivers, reputation, and the like. That kind of process continues going forward. We're trying to kind of use the slogan 15 to finish, because of course you already now have the incentive that if you do the 15 and keep that through, that your tuition will be held and reduction in textbooks. And you know, now that you've got 3 credits, it's easier to divide 15 by 3 than by 4, right? So this 15 to finish should be the mantra to help you get through, and there'll be a lot of people there to help you. Will there be bumps in the road? Of course, there's always, with the best laid plans of mice and men, there's always something there, but you know, there's a lot of people working together. I need SGA's help to get the message out, to make sure people know what's going on, and because it's communication. You could have all the resources in the world ready, but if you don't know where to, when, and how, then it's to no avail. So, John and others, I will be working more with you, and we'll probably put a few incentives there to, you know, to help people to get to their advisors and make sure they do that. There'll be prizes and, you know, like maybe a few who knows. But some posters and media designs would be good. We might offer a competition to design some good alerts and notices on that. I want to just take also this opportunity to say how great it is to have Dr. Yarborough here. He has served as your interim with the students, as you know, and he's doing a great job, and he is working with all the staff that are looking at how we best organize student affairs. Student success is not just the job of those of us on the academic side of the house, it's the job of all the support people, which student affairs is a very strong part, auxiliary services, this is a whole team, because success is not just success in the classroom, it's how you are developing and exploring socially, or like all of those other good things that go along with the growth of a whole person and this great transformative experience of being in college, and also to help you with all the things that get in the way of being successful. I mean, we understand how stressful it is for many of you trying to juggle family and jobs and at the same time you're pursuing a degree. It's, when I look back at it, you know, I had such an easy time, really, you know, growing up in Ireland. The state paid for us to go to university, and that was it. So, now there's only about 10% of us going, but I mean, it still meant you were free of worries, really. Other than being blown up or shot because I was in Belfast. minor details. The year I started as an undergraduate, there were 5 bombs a day went off for a whole year. I puts things into perspective. So somebody said, me going into a meeting, this one's going to be really tough, you'll have to dodge some bullets. I said, I've done that. But other than that, I really had not a whole lot to worry about as a student. I was really focusing on my studies. You know, I didn't have those financial worries because the state took care of it. But it's a different world these days. I know you guys are under a lot of stress, and you know the coming weeks are tough. So there's a whole big team out there. You know, it takes a village, and so we're working to make sure that all those bits click and work together, and you have all the resources you need. And I'm sure your officers will not be hesitant to tell us when we fall short of that, or suggest ways in which we could. It's just teamwork. It takes a lot. And speaking of teamwork, we have recently convened a committee to look at space, because the thing next to parking that everybody wants is space. It truly is the final frontier. I mean, we always have competing demands on space, or somebody thinks they own the space and you're not going to get it, and we try and move people to get really upset. Our goal is really to, just like the parking slots, except we don't have some, well, we do have software to try and help us out, to make sure that the space is used optimally, that there isn't a really nice, swanky piece of space that's used 2 hours in the day, that people have access to space that they need. And it's not just academic space, there's support space, there's recreational space, there's all kinds of demands on space. So we formed this university committee, and we think we've got all the right people around the table, and I invited SGA to be part of that, because as well as your representative through Dr. Yarborough, we need to have the student voice at the table. And you know, as other committees are formed, not that I think we need any more committees, but you know, sometimes you do need task force committees to deal with this. I'll always try and be as inclusive as possible to make sure that the student voice is there and is being heard, both through your representatives with the dean of students, but also through the representative of student government. Just a couple of other quick things. Mention was made of the capital request. We have put in a capital request, and one of the things we've really asked for is renovations to the main classroom. You realize that some of you have come from high schools that look better, and I think we've worked with at least 30% of the student body passes through the main classroom at some stage. And so we want to make a better job of making sure that they're right in terms of technology, and to really support the kind of pedagogy. If we move to flipped classrooms, that we can do all that. So we have a request in for that and a few other things, and we're hopeful. I think we made a good case. It was well received when we sort of pitched the various studies. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that we can do that. As with every other university, there's always a huge amount of deferred maintenance, right, Claire? She knows she has to deal with some of it. I don't know. I haven't been at a university yet that didn't have some of that, but we are working hard. I know sometimes it seems that things aren't moving fast, but we really are trying. And then just a final thing about textbooks. Having a son who's a student, I know just how horrendous that can be, and the price is now becoming a disincentive to buy, and we know that students who don't buy textbooks don't do as well in class. And we've got to get around this problem. The good thing is that the leasing, the renting, whatever you call it, the books from the bookstore is really up. It's been taken up quite a bit. But I think there's some other things we can do. So I'm working with the faculty to see if, certainly around the big section classes and the GNA classes where there are multiple sections, that they could have some kind of curriculum coordinating committee that could really work to standardize a textbook so that, you know, Professor X doesn't have this one, Professor Y doesn't have that one. And then when you go to sell the books back, they say, well, that's not going to be used next semester. Or that professor isn't teaching that course. And that you've forked out the $200+ sometimes, and now it's got no value at all. Other than maybe Amazon.com or some on eBay. So there's things we can do at our end too. We're not insensitive to this problem, and we understand that money's tight for everybody, and the textbook can be just the straw that broke the camel's back. So we really are working to do that. But as always, open to suggestions. What I would like to do at some stage, with your permission, is that I might bring some of my transition team with me here, and we'll walk you through the finer details of what's going to happen, the timeline, that kind of thing, so you are all aware of that. And then hopefully, Joan and others, we will work in terms of this communication plan and get things done. Just to let you know, on the Dean of Student front, we will be doing a national search come spring, and hope to have a full-time person for you by then. Happy to take some questions if time permits, but you're the arbiter of that.
Well, only one person has a hand up, so
Yeah.
Treasurer Weiner.
What role will we all play in the search for a permanent dean for student life?
I would, I am not sufficiently au fait with the rules around here, but I would think you would be on the search committee. That would be very important. And of course, anybody who comes interview would be meeting with people. I mean, there was a student on the search committee for me, so there should be at least two on the, I don't know, on the search committee. Yeah. So you're obviously the pursuers of all of this, so that would be very, very important. So we'll give you a heads up when all of that is done and work through student government to get the appropriate people on the search committee. In the meantime, we've got a great person here who's doing everything that all the other people to work with you and for you. And as I say, it's a team. I look forward to working. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I hope you don't mind if I leave.
Okay, thank you again to all three of our special guests for stopping by and speaking to us. Up next is Vice President Dumsky, and she will tell us about her. I'll let her explain what it's. Yes.
All right, I'll try and be quick. We were invited to go to an event before commencement on December 14th, I believe, that's the Saturday, and it is at 3:30. What it is John Lewis is the commencement speaker for graduation, and they're having like a little luncheon, I guess, before it, and so they want some students there that could, you know, interact, ask questions, get to know this guy. I guess he's a legend. He's had interactions with the civil rights movement and is one of the few remaining that was really involved with Martin Luther King. So it's pretty cool. Definitely a special moment, cool opportunity to meet this person and get to talk to them. So I have 15 slots open for SGA members. Is anybody interested? Okay, I got Monica, Mary, Sarah, Audra. I'm not going to Yeah.
When is this?
This is on December 14th at 3:30, and it's in the Student Center, and you should dress in business casual, or business attire.
I have a question.
Oh, Senator Taylor.
For those of us that live on campus, we need to be out at like 5, so how long will that take?
It's probably going to be not like a quick open house event. It would probably be like a sit down.
That would affect most of us that live on campus. Most we do extended stay.
Okay. Were you interested in coming?
I won't be able to, because I have to be out by 5.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anybody else? All right, so I have John, myself, Emily, Dan, Randy, Monica, Mary, Zach, Audra, Sarah, Jake, and Andrea. Sound good?
Is there a way we can leave early? Like we can come in a little bit early because like I don't know if I go to school, but I would like to say that. Is there a way like we could like leave if we need to?
I think that would be okay.
Or should I just?
Would it be at all feasible to check out and then come to this event for anyone who lives on campus, really?
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I'll just have some listen because I don't know plans yet, and I don't want to have to like leave it on the wire. You know what I mean?
If something opens up, you can just let me know. They are happy to have as many students as possible to come in,
Okay.
hang out with him. So.
Thank you.
And then if you would like more information, you just type him up online. He's pretty famous, so.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Johnson. And okay, I know we've had a few more surprises than you guys would like. Please forgive me, but Treasurer Wainer has asked to be jumped up in the agenda, so I'm going to have her go next.
All right, so I asked to be to move closer to the top of the agenda here, just because I think it will be helpful for everyone to see the budget just a little earlier in the meeting, in case, like today, I know some people other than myself will be asking for motions that will move money around. So I didn't want to wait till the end, after people potentially ask you to kind of play around with certain budget items. So hopefully you'll agree if I just give you the numbers real quick and then try to talk about what I have for you. As quickly as I can, it will be a little more relevant to you. So I have our budget update for you that I'll go over briefly. I'll tell you what you need to keep an eye out for, especially as what we'll be talking about a little later by Zach. I also have two items that came up that you will all be able to give me your opinion on, and we'll see if we can help out some student groups as we often have to do here. This is committee budgets as they are right now. If you take a look at the cash number, the kind of relevant things to look at would be Finance Committee has allocated, we transferred about $43,000, a little less than we allocated, and that's because there's certain groups that have some administrative issues that put them on hold. The other thing that has changed here, I've got one-time 250s included. You'll see that we paid out $6,500 worth of those to student groups, which is pretty good. Most of these committees haven't spent anything. Rebecca and I finally managed to get the PR kiosk paid for, so we'll be able to start using that hopefully by the beginning of next semester. Collaboration, co-sponsorship, it's kind of relevant to look at that because we moved a lot of money for Zach's committee and a lot of it was kind of just allocated and not spent yet. So you can see that after Harvest Ball, after Speech and Hearing Conference, after CSER, and the one Welcome Back Barbecue we did, we've actually paid out about $24 grand in cash. One of the things we're going to be talking about later that Zach's going to bring up is that if you look at how much we agreed to give groups versus how much we paid, collaboration is pretty close to maxed out. So versus last year where we spent about $9,000 according to the previous treasurer on top of allocating what I thought was 40 grand, you know, it's kind of good that we've utilized that budget almost completely by now. And with the challenge that comes with that is that we've got a lot of great opportunities that come to us because this committee is starting to become a little more well-known. So we're going to have to, all of you are going to have to kind of think about how you want to attack this abundance of opportunities when we have already spent most of, or spent or set aside most of the funds for that committee. I think the only other relevant changes here, yeah, if you look at this, the only major differences between what we've already paid in cash and what you all have voted to spend is going to be the finance money that's just on hold, the collaboration money that we haven't actually given to groups yet, and then all that stuff on the bottom is just kind of the deferred maintenance and utilities. Are there any questions about how this works? I'm going to ask you guys this every time if there's any questions about kind of how the difference between cash and the accrual and kind of how this all works together. E-board budget, I did a little differently. I'm showing you e-board spending without homecoming expenses included. So I just took those all out because they run our account way into the negative and we are being reimbursed for those expenses from GFAC. I was talking to Bob about that today, and I think as of this week or next week we'll have all been paid back and it won't look so terrible on a slideshow. But it's more relevant to you to see our e-board budget without those expenses anyways because they're just going to be reimbursed. This is kind of just an administrative thing to be running it through our account. There's not really a whole lot of relevant stuff here. Most of e-board spending is going to be our scholarships, and I think SGA was accidentally charging to our account, which has resulted in like 10 grand being taken out that they've already given us back. I think we would probably be well served to give you all some plan for what we intend to do with the little bit of operating leeway e-board has, and that's just an ongoing discussion we're having, so we'll keep you posted about that. The final thing here is this is what's going to be relevant to you when Zach comes up and kind of pitches a few ideas that might be solutions to the collaboration issue, and this is for you to keep in mind when I bring you two items to kind of vote on today. So this, if you can take, this is also on WorkSync, by the way. Take a look at this, the total amount that we're hoping to spend out of Finance Committee and the total amounts that we've actually transferred into group accounts throughout the first semester. So you all voted to approve $60,500 of spending to groups. We transferred $30,000 of the first hearing instead of $40 due to those administrative costs. In the second hearing, you allocated $20. We transferred about $15.5 due to those administrative issues. So these tend to rectify themselves as Bob works with these groups to get their eligibility corrected. So based on the fact that we were transferring less money, you made some special allocations that amounted to $12,000 this semester. So in total, we've transferred a little over $58,000 to groups over 2 hearings, which is pretty good. I've talked to some of you more than others about this, and I always talk about it in the meetings that the goal for me, and I think the committee agrees, is budget utilization. We had quite a amount left over last year, so any dollar that we don't diffuse into the student body is kind of a wasted opportunity, and it's us, in my opinion, failing to kind of execute on that mission of providing funding to student groups. So I kind of set arbitrary percentages to figure out how much we should spend on each hearing, but obviously I've shown you that I'm pretty flexible on that because I want to get cash into the student body. That kind of brings us to these two proposals I have for you that I'll try and get you the relevant facts for quickly. Just keep in mind that we've transferred into student accounts 34% of our total Finance Committee budget over 2 hearings. We have 3 more hearings to go. We could have $100,000 requested in the third hearing or 15. It's really hard to guess how it's going to play out. So we transferred 34%. We've agreed to give groups just over 40% of what we have in the pot. So you've still got 60% of that at your disposal to give to student groups. So the 2 items I have for you, one is straightforward. We'll talk about the complicated one first. Last year, Collaboration Co-Sponsorship gave African Student Association $5,300 for the African Night. A lot of you might remember that. The problem is, for whatever reason, that was never given to them. The transfer was just never processed, and we don't really know why that played out the way it did. The problem is they didn't know that, so they just spent and ended up spending $5,200 for this event that all went through, and by the end of the year, their account was negative a substantial amount. So they're a little ticked off, obviously. They came to us and they're saying, look, you got to make good on your obligation here because our account was in the negative, and they're hoping that we will kind of true them up and make good on the commitment we made last year. The complicating factor is that when their account went negative, it went to negative $2,000 and change. Department of Student Life, when that happens, has to bring it back up to 0. So they have kind of a general agency account, they call it, So anytime a group becomes defunct or doesn't exist anymore, they pool that cash into this kind of extra account just in case this happens. There's not a lot in there. Bob has told me it's generally about $5,000 a year, and they use almost all of that every year, bringing these groups back to zero. So DSL helped this student organization be at zero and told us we should not refund them more than, we should not refund them the portion that Department of Student Life footed to get them to zero. So that means to true up our allocation to them, we would have to allocate $3,177.26 to ASA. That is the motion that I have written in bold on the second page. The second issue that we'll take your opinion on is, Bob said, hey, this general fund, this agency account is there to true up groups, but it's up to you whether you pay us back the amount that we took out of it. So if you think about it, they've had this extra money to bring accounts to zero when this happens, but if we give them $2,000, that's $2,000 that we can't give to the student body, and there's no guarantee it will even be used to help with an agency account this year. So it's really going to be your take on it. Do you think we should bump up that reserve in case student groups happen to run to the negative again, or should we hold on to the money in case we need it? My personal opinion, I would urge you to strongly consider the first motion to make good on the commitment we made to ASA last year. The second motion, I don't have an opinion on. It would be up to you to leave any discussion about that. I would hope to discuss or have these two motions first, because then we'll talk about the second one, which is pretty recent. President Fedor?
When we allocate this amount, if we allocate this amount to ASA, is the $31.77 going to be subtracted from their collaboration commitment?
So you mean the 10,000?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's good to bring up. So this year we worked with the same group and committed them through collaboration committee $10,000 for the Afro Fest that's going to take place in spring. Pretty big event they've got planned. They're putting a lot of work into it. Whether this would or wouldn't, I don't know, because this is a last year commitment. That would be up to you also. If you say, well, we'll pay you back that money, but then we're going to split the difference for your event. And unfortunately, Musa, who is one of the officers in that group, isn't here to plead his case, so I don't know how that would affect them, or if it would or wouldn't, you know.
Director Cole.
I was going to say that factor. I think that shouldn't affect their money for this year, just because I think it's a separate commitment, and I don't think this year's co-op money should be affected by a commitment that didn't go through from last year. That's just my opinion.
Procedurally, we've already committed 10.
Yeah.
You have to then vote to change that, you know.
Senator Zaki.
The 2,000 to DSL.
Yeah.
Can we just kind of hang on to that until we just hang on to it and see what happens?
Like Treasurer Weiner said, it is up to the Senate to
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah, you guys can opt to defer, and if that Bob says all these accounts are negative, maybe we should consider paying
Yeah,
back.
like if they run out, we can just give them that money.
Yeah. The point is we would be essentially refunding the Department of Student Life leftover funds that they just keep because they're left over, which is kind of a vague return on investment, I guess, depending on what happens. But we can defer till later.
Okay. Senator Ortenzio.
I move to allocate $3,177.26 from the Finance Committee to ASA to fulfill the funding obligation from last semester.
Cool. Okay. Senator Ward. Okay. So the motion on the floor is to allocate $3,177.26 from the Finance Committee to ASA. Is there any discussion on the matter? And are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
This last one's really simple. It's much the same story we hear every meeting when I come up here. There's a group with a really good reason that they can't fit into the group schedule. This is Chinese Students and Scholars Association. What's interesting is last year they had a similar off-schedule request for us, and they came and asked for this same event while the event was occurring next door. So they made a large improvement by asking for the money off schedule, but at least 2 months ahead. So their issue is they're celebrating the the Chinese Lunar New Year. That celebration would occur sometime in January. Our hearing, the next available hearing, occurs January 31st. So without our commitment now, the event would be in question, although I guess they could run their account to the negative and then we would refund them. But then there's the whole, we can't do retroactive funding thing. So I said, hey, I will pitch this to the Senate and see what their opinion is on making these kind of exceptions, because you guys know me, I'm inflexible and I want to spend money, so I say let's be flexible, but it's ultimately up to you. Their estimated expenses are all included here. I took out $200 because we don't fund prizes, which is just kind of part of the rules. There's a little explanation of why they say they need this, and I also included their chairman's total proposal on the back. He wrote a little letter to us. Kind of describes the event, the celebration, kind of interesting. Do you guys have any questions or opinions about kind of breaking the rules, as it were, to help student groups? Or, I don't know, I think last year the Finance Committee and the Treasurer took a much different stance on rules versus kind of being flexible sometimes.
Senator Hortenzia?
I just had a question, like, is this event, like, I don't want to say worth it, but like, is it like big enough and successful enough to, so to speak, break the rules? Like, is this worth the potential problems of breaking the rules, or like, is it something that could,
That's a good question. So I think on his proposal, he said that there would be 300 to 350 attendees. And if I recall from last year, while we were having our hearing and they were having their party, there were that many people. They used the SC ballroom. Seemed to be a good turnout. The other kind of my personal opinion on these types of things is, if we were policing, if we were going to rate every event from 0 to 10, we might fund a few less events because some are kind of on the borderline, but we're providing, opportunities for these groups to do something impactful and to do leaders. So a lot of times they do really well, sometimes they're kind of in the middle, and we do a lot of work with those in the middle groups because they're out there trying to make an impact, So ultimately it's up to you to decide if it's worth it.
Senator Ward?
I've been to this before, I'm pretty sure, and it's a pretty big event. I think it's something really good to fun. And I work in the Modern Languages Department, so we have the Chinese students coming out there a lot, and they're really nice, really good people. So I'm certainly supportive of funding.
Would you like to make a motion, Senator Ward?
I would make the motion. I move to allocate $1,250 from Finance Committee to the Chinese Students and Scholars Association for the Chinese Lunar New Year celebration.
Okay, Senator Taylor.
Second.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to allocate $1,250 from the Finance Committee to the Chinese Chinese Students and Scholars Association for their New Year celebration. Is there any more discussion on the matter? And are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, thank you, Treasurer Leonard. Moving on. Let's see. We're out of order, so we'll confuse. One's here. Get this out of the way. We have up next Senator Sendez and Jackie Wasson here to present their senator project and a senator report. I know it just says senator project, but there was a little bit of confusion, so really quick senator report. And I guess I'd like to preface all senator reports with this, since there are so many, and since it was decided to wait till the last meeting. We went a little long, obviously, with the guest speakers, so let's try to keep it between 2 and 3 minutes. That would be great. Thank you.
Wait, do you have our little thingy?
I do.
Alright, so Senator Zendes and I, we are planning a big kind of chess tournament in February. So, everyone at SGA, we all love chess, we really do. And so as much as we love it, we think the student body would love it just as much. So our big kind of thing behind it is we want to have an opportunity to, a lot of people think we're not approachable, like they get intimidated from the office and stuff, and doors closed and things like that. So we think just like a couple games of chess would be a good way to kind of communicate with the student body, if not to talk about like issues or things that are maybe going on, just to be approachable, be a friend, be someone that they can talk to, and
chess, it can be like a little lengthy, maybe like 30 minutes or so. So that gives you, you're going to talk to the person you're playing with. So we think it's a pretty good idea. The whole event, we are going to have kind of just like open games that you can just play for fun, and we're also going to have a tournament setting. So if people are more competitive about it, they want to enter the tournament, we're going to do that. And we are getting, well, if you guys fund it, we are trying to get kind of like a life-size chessboard and the pieces to go with it. So the 2 people who are in the final for winning the tournament, they'll get to play on that. And then as a bigger thing, we are trying to place that board permanently somewhere around campus. So it's open all the time for students to use whenever they want. And we're hoping to do that in the library. It's a quiet game, and it'd be a cool feature to put in there, attract students more to the library. So that's like the bigger project behind it. So the tournament is kind of more of a debuting of this big board that we hope to get in place. So we are here to ask for funding from the discretionary budget. And so we are hoping, based on advertising and seeing how it goes, we might need less money, maybe need more, but all of the stuff is up there. We're hoping to get like food. We're trying to keep it classy, so we're gonna do like finger sandwiches and fruit and like cheese and grapes and like lemonade and stuff like that. So okay, yeah. So that's it. The motion. Do you have the motion up there somewhere? I don't know.
Essentially, our motion is to ask for $1,673.05 to hold this event. And that would be to buy the chessboards, to buy the life-size chess set, along with food and advertising.
Yes. So we're looking.
Senator Marnick.
How many chessboards are you guys looking at?
We are getting, I believe we're getting 5 normal size boards, a little bit of a fancier one, and then the life-size one, which is like $573. So can you scroll up? Yeah, the chessboard prices are, yeah. So we're getting, altogether, we're getting 7 chessboards. The life-size one's obviously going to be more expensive. That's the one we're most looking to get.
Vice President Zemsky.
Is this something that we have to get 3 quotes on?
No, it's not enough.
No? Okay. Just curious.
Director Brodsma.
Was the giant chessboard, are those the 16-inch chess pieces or the 24?
They are, the biggest piece is 25 inches.
So it all goes about like to maybe here, depending on what the pieces are.
Depending on how tall you are.
Yeah.
Senator Marnick.
Have you guys talked to the library about putting the big pieces in one of the floors?
We have not yet. But that's going to be more of our project for next semester. So we want to try to get the tournament going, see the kind of outlook we get. If we don't get a very big number, then it might not be a good idea to try to place it somewhere on campus.
Senator Hortensio.
What's the plan to do with the chessboard if it's a no-go with the library? Are we going to?
We are planning, we are going to try to maybe place it somewhere else. We're talking about maybe the commuter lounge or maybe like Fen Tower Game Room, something like that. But if all that's like a no-go, we want to donate it to like maybe a student org that would want it. Something like that.
Is that, Treasurer Wayner, is that allowed to buy something just to donate it? Just like,
I mean, if we can vote to move money to a group, we can vote to move.
oh, to a group, I guess I didn't catch that part. All right. Treasurer Wayner.
I just want to, how many people do you think will attend? Do you have any kind of expectation?
This is, I am estimating hopefully between like 150 and 200, just to like make, just, yeah, just maybe like stop by, just like, I mean, that was my estimate like food-wise, but like once we start advertising and like getting like an event like on Facebook or something like that, and like see the turnout, then we might not need as much money.
I only asked just about because the food is expensive.
Yeah.
And those catering plates have so much on them, and we have so much left over every time we buy it.
Yeah, that was one thing, like, I was really, I've never, like, neither of us have really done anything like this before, so those are, like, the highest estimates that we'll probably need.
So, I mean, if you would be comfortable with some people not having food, or maybe there's so many people show up, it's great, we ran out of food, that sounds like a good problem to me, because we could potentially save on that $600-700.
Yeah.
Or maybe defer the food part of the motion until you have a closer to
better
the event and a
estimate.
better idea of who will be there.
Okay.
That would be my only recommendation.
Yeah, the motion is only to allocate up to, we're not asking for this amount of money, it's just if we have to use it, we can.
Moving on, Senator Costa.
Instead of like making a motion today about like the whole life-size board, can we like wait till you like check in with like the library, so we're not like wasting that money?
Okay.
I mean, for me, the whole thing is it's not going to be a waste no matter what. Because if it doesn't go to library, we have our other options. And
Just saying
if
if
not,
it
we'll be
doesn't
doing
fit.
good for someone else if we like don't keep it and like donate it.
Okay, Director Fowler.
How long is the turnaround time between when it would be ordered and when it would be in hand?
I believe it said about 10 days.
That's something to consider as far as the ordering process and whether to allocate the funds today or.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have enough time if we waited till next Senate meeting.
Okay, Senator Ward.
What are the pieces made out of? Are they plastic or inflatable?
I believe the ones we're looking at are plastic. They're either plastic or wood.
They're not that heavy, it's maybe like 10 pounds for each thing.
Vice President Dubsky.
What will you do to ensure that those large pieces aren't stolen or misplaced or something?
That was the reason why we were looking at library first. We were looking at the little area next to like the main desk or something. So that way it could be monitored. Because originally we were thinking, what if we did it out in the courtyard or whatnot, but that problem arises. People, for some reason, would want its life-size king. They can just walk and take it.
Yeah.
So we were thinking about, like as she said, the commuter lounge for the library. So it could be someplace where it could be monitored.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's something I'm just nervous about that if you haven't talked to the library yet, because that's a responsibility that you're adding onto their plate. That's just my only hesitation about ordering, because you said you wanted to order it over break, but are you going to talk to the library over break before you order? That's just my...
Yeah, no, I completely understand the concern. But the whole thing is just to have this tournament. That's going to be a project for like next semester, a later date. But I mean, I understand the concern. We have not talked to the library. Looking to, don't exactly know when. They can next week before break. I definitely would, but I just don't know.
Okay, thank you, President Fedor.
You can come and game, you can come and see.
Don't know if it'll be big enough.
Yeah, that's kind of small.
Senator Attorney.
If anything, even if they can't keep it in the library permanently, couldn't we just use it for like late night study facility? Just take it out, put it in the middle where there's food and everything.
That was also an idea we were talking about.
That's also an option. Director Bowling.
Well, to that point, the library would so not want that. Not want that at all.
Yeah.
The libraries this year has been very hesitant that studying is the main focus and having a life-size chessboard. Great idea, but library, no. My second point is I liked everything a lot except for the life size, only because of the library thing. What I would think is maybe do this first tournament. I was thinking maybe doing this tournament without the life size guy, and then have the tournament towards maybe that finals week or the week before, or something you could do as like a stress reliever. Maybe work with CAB when they have that stress week or whatever, and then based on your attendance from the first event, if enough attention is brought to this event, then a life-size chessboard would be a cool thing. So that's how I would say going about it. And then it also gives you guys to do this twice, and so SGA is able to have interactions with students twice rather than once. So that's my.
Thank you, Director Bowling. Okay, so it is up to the Senate to decide, as we've been kind of reiterating through this whole process, and I guess through the whole semester. So, would anyone be willing to, I guess, make the motion? Senator Boychuk.
Can you scroll up just a little bit?
Yes.
I move to allocate $134.85 to purchase 5 general boards for the upcoming tournament, and to hold off on buying any food or planning to purchase any food or the life-size chessboard because of the concerns that everybody knows. So.
Okay. Senator Martin.
I second that.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to allocate $134.85 to the 5 chessboards. Now, is there any more discussion? Senator Taylor.
What about the official chessboard? Are we not doing that or no?
That was just more,
a fancier-ish. It's like a normal sized one, but like the 5 general ones they're super basic. So we thought getting like a little bit of a nicer one, maybe so like to keep in the office and stuff, or keep available pretty much anywhere. It's just a nicer one. It looks really nice.
Senator Butcher.
Can I amend my
Your motion? Yes.
All right, I move to allocate $204.85 to the purchase of 5 general boards and 1 official chessboard.
Okay, that number was $204.85. Okay. Senator Moore,
I second that.
all right. So I guess the new motion on the floor is to allocate $204.85 to the purchasing of 5 chessboards and 1 official chessboard. Any more discussion? And are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Senate report for the Viking Card Committee is doing well. They want to try to make it into a debit card, so.
That's about it.
That's President Fedor.
They're advertising that you could do that already. I just walked past you today. Is that actually out?
That, they're talking with Huntington Bank to make it into a debit card, to be accepted at their kind of places for it.
Cool. Great. Continuity information. Director Bowling.
It is used as a debit card. I've used
Is it now?
Yeah. But it may be, because it's a Maestro card, it's not a MasterCard, so that's maybe what they're doing.
Oh. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Unfortunately, Senator Hooks had to leave early, and she was hoping she could stick around, but like I said, and like I'm sure you've noticed, things ran a little long. So we will skip to Senator Boychuk and his senator report. I don't know why I read the project. I'm sorry. It's a report. Sorry to discourage you guys. Oh, you don't have. Okay.
All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For some people that don't know, my name is Roman Boychuk. I am the College of Engineering senator. There have been 2 very important issues in the College of Engineering in the last few weeks. First, the most recent one is that the CEO of Parker Hannifin, Donald Washquiggs, donated $10 million to the Fenn College of Engineering. And as a result, the Board of Trustees decided to rename the Fenn College of Engineering to the Washquiggs School of Engineering. As you would expect, a lot of students are upset about that because the Fenn College of Engineering has become a part of their identity, especially to the students that are graduating this year, like I am. So obviously, it has upset a lot of students, and one of the things that I spoke with the dean about is possibly instead of having people decide whether or not they want Fenn or Washquiggs on their diploma when they graduate this December or in May. And when I met with the dean about that, it is absolutely out of the question because the Fenn College no longer exists, and they will not endorse any official CSU documents that state that have Fenn College written on anymore. So I guess I spoke So to make students happy, I proposed to her that maybe instead of the administration printing Fenn College diplomas, we allow the student government or some other entity or whatever to print honorary Fenn College diplomas, which would still sort of showcase a little bit of the Fenn College name, and would keep some of the students that are graduating this May and this December happy. And so she's going to speak with the marketing department at CSU or at Fenn College about that, and to notify the donor that this is a student-led project or whatever. So yeah, hopefully we'll get that. We'll get that through soon. The other issue is that the mechanical engineering department and the electrical engineering department are hiring a total of 5 new faculty members, which means that a lot of the student org rooms will have to be used for new faculty rooms, right? So, once again, a lot of students are upset about that because they will be losing their offices starting next fall. So I met with the dean again about that a few times this past semester, and they allowed, I guess they're saving 2 extra rooms, 2 extra lounges for these different student organizations. So originally the plan was that they're going to put all of the student organizations in one big room, basically. And there's a lot of concern about that because there might not be enough room to meet or work on projects, or it might get noisy or whatnot. So there'd be 2 extra rooms, and yeah, so that's about it. That's all I have. So thank you guys.
Thank you for that. Okay, Vice President Dumpsky is coming up now to initiate an appeal hearing regarding Jackie Watson. So,
All right, so I've never done this before, but we're going to work together on this. According to the Constitution here, the Vice President officiates appeal hearings. So Jackie Lawson has more than the limit for unexcused absences to Senate meetings, and so she has chosen to appeal her removal from the Senate, and so she now has the opportunity to plead her case to the Senate, and when she's done, we will all vote by a secret ballot, and we'll go over that so everybody's clear on what means what. But let's hear from Jackie first.
Okay, so I'm Jackie. Yeah, is that something? I have had 3 absences so far from Senate meetings. I have been here for them. I just had to leave early, so I'm just here to offer an explanation for the reason on why that happened. And at the beginning of the semester, I made 2 commitments to 2 different things, and SGA was one of them, and rejoining because I enjoyed it so much last year. And I also joined the triathlon club team. So turns out triathlon practice is every Friday night from 6 to 8 and Sunday morning from 8 to 10. So as you guys can see, the conflict and Senate meetings are about every other Friday at 5 o'clock. And there's one thing that I did not know about the absent policy, and that if I gave a 24-hour head that it would be an excused absent. I was not aware of that. So if I would have known, I would not have any unexcused absences. And so I'm here, just hopefully you guys will let me stay. I have like big plans. Me and Senator Zendas are working on this like big tournament going on. And if I did not want to be a part of the Senate, I would not be here in front of you guys today. I would not be continuing to do my office hours, and I would not be coming to the meetings halfway and leaving early. So that's bad enough.
So we'll now open the floor for discussion. If the Senate wishes to ask Jackie to leave, they're welcome to. But otherwise, we can have open discussion.
Senator Sharp.
I just have a question. We're all 3 because of the triathlon.
Yeah, for 2 of them, I would come and I would leave around 6:40, 6:45. So I was not attending a full Senate meeting, but I was also missing half of my practice. So I've been trying my best to do both of them, and I've worked out with my coach a thing for next semester. So I should not be leaving early at all next semester.
Oh, here. This is the signal.
Okay, Senator Carl.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed this. Did she tell you before she missed all these absences?
No, they were unexcused, which means she didn't let the Senate know ahead of time. Or the Secretary know, sorry.
Okay, Senator Waco.
So if you leave a Senate meeting early, you can mark as absent?
The rule is that if you leave a Senate meeting, or if you get to a Senate meeting 15 minutes after it started, or you leave 15 minutes before it ends, it's a half absence. You have that 15-minute window where nothing essentially happens to you. But if you arrive or leave anywhere out of there, you get half an absence. So through half absences, that's how you can accumulate so many absences. Any other? Director Bowling?
I just had a question for Jackie. Alright, so I understand when you signed up for the triathlon club, other than trying to balance Senate meetings and triathlon training, was there any other ways that you tried to balance that other than just trying to split it in half?
No, just because, I was still doing all of my work for SGA, and I was still being pretty involved, and as of that point, I was a new member on the team, and my coach didn't know what to expect from me, he didn't know how good I'd be and stuff like that, but I'm on the national team, and so because that happened, he's been like really wanting me to go to practice and things like that. So that was the best way I could think to split it at the time, because he wanted me at practice, not just me doing things on my own. And he wasn't going to change all the practice time for one person.
So then, if this situation were to arise, so it's not arising next semester, but say next fall, how would you then do this other than calling the secretary 24 hours in advance? Or would you still try to continue this way?
Well, like if I was a member of it next year, he would be more comfortable with me missing practice,
cool.
or it's like every semester the times change, and I mean even SGA meetings could be at different times next semester as well.
Okay, cool.
Or next year.
Fine.
Okay, Senator Carlson, you have your hand up.
I didn't hear exactly the last conversation, but is this going to interfere with her practices and meetings next semester?
No.
She says
You
no.
might have to choose between.
She says no. There would be no interference. Senator Boyce.
Just clarify, what is a yes and what is a no?
We'll get to that after discussion.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that, Senator Boyce. Director Roya.
Did you receive a warning for like a number of absences and absences?
I received one email that said that I got counted as a full absent once, and then I got one a few weeks ago said that I had 3. So I never got those in between ones, and I don't know if it was a point of miscommunication, but that's all I've received.
Secretary Lawson.
We didn't get an email that said you got 3. We have the emails right here. But also, just so everyone else knows, I'm very lenient with the 24-hour. I get that things come up, I understand, but I just would like a notification for my own records, and because I have to take attendance and I have to see who's coming in. And I totally understand that you have other things going on, but I'm not asking for much. Like, you can literally text me, call me, say, hey, like in the hallway, you know. I'm asking for that much of your consideration. And it's just, I don't understand how it happened. You know.
Well, it's just because I wasn't aware that you were doing that, because that wasn't used last year, so I was unaware of that. So that's it. Otherwise, I would have told you that easily.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so we will have a secret ballot vote. What we're going to do, yes brings Jackie back into the Senate, and no means she will be removed from the Senate.
And Director Crossman will go around and collect your secret ballots.
Can you do abstain? Yes or no?
Technically, you can abstain, yes.
We're not voting. That's why not. We have one.
So is everyone's ballot collected?
And it requires 2/3.
And, okay. Yes, yes. And just so we're clear, it requires a 2/3 majority, I guess in this case of a no, for her to be removed.
I'm gonna be
So it's like Jeopardy music.
Oh, yeah.
Don't draw pictures on me.
Don't get fancy. Don't try it.
All right, Jim.
All right, so it looks like by the majority vote that the vote was yes, and so welcome back to the Senate.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Congratulations. Let's see. President Fedor on the executive board.
Ladies and gentlemen, great to see you all. Thank you for being here. I'm going to try to keep this brief because our time is growing very short. This is the last meeting of the fall 2013 semester, so I would like for you all to be proud of the jobs that you all are doing and to study hard this weekend and to do well in finals. So I'm really proud of you all. It's great to have you all in this organization. I know that SGA is a commitment that in some cases goes above and beyond other types of extracurricular commitments. So thank you for all the work that you do. I appreciate you very much. I wanted to recognize really quickly Elena Schroffnagel because she's the only one, I believe, out of all of us graduating in December. If you want to just stand up and give her a hand, she's got a What are your majors again, Elena?
Double majoring biology, environmental science.
Yep, okay, so you all can stay sitting because that's heavy duty. Good stuff. Okay, we've got a late night study facility coming up. It's starting Sunday night. It's going from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning at the Schwartz Library for 5 nights. It's Sunday through Thursday of this coming week. Okay, so it starts in 2 days. And basically, so I need you all to do a couple things for us. This is an event that's growing every semester that we do it. We've done it 4 or 5 in a row, 4 I believe, and it's wildly popular. We want to make it continually successful, so if you could retweet our posts and share our posts on Facebook, that would be fantastic so that we can spread the word about this event to students. Also, your word is your bond. So if you say that you're going to show up to help work and help do attendance and help keep the peace and everything like that, please do that. We really appreciate the people who are consistent and who volunteer their time. It helps to make this organization run the way that it should, and it represents you. You represent yourself well when you're faithful and commit to your word by saying you're going to show up and showing up. So thank you in advance for doing that. We definitely want to try to make this as much of a positive experience as possible. Also, on that same relative subject, committee attendance, I just addressed at Vice President Dumsky and I were at the Faculty Senate meeting this past Wednesday. It was a really long meeting, really intense meeting. It was busy. They made time for student government to give them an address, so we briefly talked with them. And one of the things that I promised to the Faculty Senate is that basically the way that we do committee attendance, the way that we do advocacy in this group, representing student interests on university committees, is we're looking at that, we're making improvements, and we will continue to take our responsibility as representatives seriously. So that was in front of the president, the provost, senior faculty leadership, and pretty much the leadership of every department in the university that is concerned with anything remotely academic, which is like all of them, including actually parking, because Claire Ron was there. So if you haven't talked yet with Secretary Halassa or anyone on the Student Appointments Board about an assignment to a university committee that you don't like, talk to them. If you hate your committee, you can't make it, or whatever, talk to them and we can get you reassigned. That's part of the job description as senators and also as directors. Additionally, if you haven't heard from your committee, we need to know that. So we can't necessarily know whether or not you're being contacted by the committee chairs of all these university committees. We can only give them the information and trust they're going to contact you as the student representatives. If you haven't received anything from committee chairs, let us know. We'll get in touch with them, the chairs of these committees, because we can correspond with them quickly and hopefully, turn the situation around. Because it's very, very, very important that we represent the students of CSU, our peers, well on these committees. There are some committees where, like for instance, I'm on e-learning and we talked about definitions for a couple of hours in both the meetings that I've attended. Now, that's important in some respects, but one of the things that we've said in the meeting is that very few people actually see the work that we do. We're there to advise Faculty Senate, to make recommendations, and advise the provost and her office in academic planning. There are other committees that very, very, very much, the decisions they make are very visible to students. Parking and dining and you know, anything related to money at the university, whether it's fees that you pay, tuition that you pay, whatever. Academic space like the provost was talking about. This is a really huge opportunity to make sure that what we want as students, gets into the faces of the people that can make a decision in our favor. Otherwise, it's not going to get there. And they won't have anyone saying, hey, you forgot to think about students, or I know that you think that's what the students think, but you're wrong. This is actually what we think. This decision can be tweaked so that it fits us better. So this is a very important thing. If you haven't heard from your chairperson of your committee, contact us, we'll get in touch with them. If you don't like the committee or you can't make the meetings, that's really important because even part of your senator stipend is based upon attendance of SGA meetings as well as your university committee meetings. So get in touch with us and we will take the appropriate action. You all were given a book swap hot card. That was marketing sent to us from the company, and it was printed, and we're going to be adjusting that slightly. But basically, one of the things that we're doing as far as our textbook efforts in SGA is we're trying to provide a way for students to easily buy and sell textbooks for a cheaper cost in a more effective manner. That is through an app that is primarily based upon interactions on social media. This company called Packback approached us. They have been on Shark Tank. They've seen incredible results at the University of Illinois and a couple of other places. And they have this app called Book Swap that allows you to very easily buy and sell books by basically setting up a listing that's specific to Cleveland State University and specific to a course. Whether that's, Bio 101 or for me, EEC 311, which is electronic or circuits, whatever it is. You can buy and sell books based upon the course number and the section number and the professor's name, as well as all of these things being specific to Cleveland State. It's a really, really neat, innovative product, and we are committed to helping them to spread the word about this. So we'll be talking about it at Late Night Study. We'll be posting about it. We'll be having information on our website, etc. So take a look, check it out. Go on Facebook, search BookSwap, and get plugged in. It's a really awesome marketplace as well as resource. There's, like Vice President Dumsky mentioned, there's student evaluations at the university. The way that they're done is changing. There's a lot of talk about that with administration and faculty. So if you have any opinions about it, please let us know so that we can pass them on to Jeff Karam, who's leading the committee, who's looking at this. They're looking at going to primarily online evaluations, and the response rate overall for online evaluations for faculty is way, way lower. It's like substantially, like not orders of magnitude, but like 3 times less as far as the response rate they get for online surveys. So they're just trying to balance out how to do student evaluations best, so that basically we can hopefully get better professors, better teaching, and increased learning here at the university. Do you want to take? I can take a question.
Director Bowling.
Something that kind of came up in the Urban College was professors tend to give these evaluations at the end of class, and so I've done a couple evaluations where it starts at the beginning of class, and students are more willing to give good results and good thoughts if that means less stuff being taught. Granted, that's just the way it is, rather than I can either fill out this survey or leave class early.
Yeah.
So that's something that the Urban College has done, and it's definitely, they've seen some improvement of the results.
Are you talking about at the beginning of the class period? Yeah. Okay, right. Okay. Interesting, that's good. Yeah, for sure, we'll definitely be passing that on. I like that. Do they have any research about it, do you know?
What we have is that one professor had said that he gets really good results, and another professor said that she doesn't, and the huge difference, because we have the same surveys obviously, was that he was a professor that had done it at the beginning of class.
Okay. Interesting.
And also the use of the back sheet, well, depending, I don't know how many, it differs per college, but the back sheet has like optional questions. It's best if those optional questions are used and there's something pertaining to the class.
Yep.
And other than just, how did this professor do fill in a bubble? Like, how did this paper feel? How did you like the length? Did you felt like something could be changed? So it's more of a class-specific question.
I like it.
Okay. Senator Ortenzio?
Just going off what he said, my 2-hour long Western Civ class did her evaluation at the beginning of class. And I just to myself said, I could fill this out honestly, stretch it out, let's we have to learn. So I literally did fill it out more, thorough and content and put down what I really wanted to say. And then my 2-hour math class did it at the end of class with 10 minutes left. And I was like, well, I want to leave. So that's just kind of, I agree with him on that, in that aspect. So I think at the beginning of class.
Very quickly.
I'm just suggesting maybe course-specific surveys, because some questions aren't relevant to certain courses.
I agree. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for the input. I'll pass this stuff on.
Senator Carlson?
Maybe the evaluation should be done right after midterms. I mean, it gives them time to improve or change or adjust to students' considerations of how the class is going.
Yeah, I know that they've considered a lot of different options. Traditionally, they do it 2/3 of the way through a class, so like about 9 weeks or so, which is, like you said, kind of just after midterms. But I don't know. I'll pass that on though, for sure. I'll pass it on.
Going forward, if you guys have any suggestions, I guess you guys can email President Fedor for anything that has to do with this e-board update.
Yeah. Okay, two really, really quick things. E-learning committee. I'm on the e-learning committee, so if you have online classes, you hate them, you don't like something about them, whatever, contact me with anything that I can pass on to the committee, okay? We need more stuff to work on. December 16th is our strategy meeting for executive board, okay? We're going to be doing some planning for next semester. We're going to be debriefing on this semester to how it went. If you have ideas for us, please send them my way. If you saw things that need improvement, could be improved, if you don't like the way some processes are going, if you want more information about a certain topic or another topic, if you just want more communication or you want less communication, whatever. If you have any ideas, send them over to me because I don't see everything that you see. I see things differently from a different perspective. So please send me that feedback to president@csusga.com.
Is it an open meeting or closed?
It's closed.
That was out of order. Thank you.
Sorry.
President Fedor.
So it's recognized, I wouldn't say that.
It's at the discretion of the speaker. Thank you, President Fedor. Is there anything to add?
That's all. Yeah, just let me know if you have any feedback. Thanks, guys.
Up next is Director Bowling for his update.
All right. So part of this update was supposed to be OSGA. The big bulk of OSGA will be covered next Senate meeting. None of that is changing, and it's not very time consuming, or it's not very time important. Other than the fact that we went, it was really good. Public Policy Chairman Resendez got a lot of work, and it's good work. There's some stuff in the State House that's really interesting, and that's affecting us. So definitely, public policy will be busy next semester. So if you're on that committee, definitely go to those meetings because it's really important stuff. All right, so that's OSGA. So as you guys know, late night's coming up. So at the very end of my update, that's when I'm going to get the ask people for days they can work. Overall, the way it's going to be different this year is that we're using the lobby. We're using half the lobby where the elevator to the parking garages. We are using from then on towards like main classroom, and that's for two reasons. One, there is a door that's in like the very left-hand corner that goes to like roads west, and that has like an inability to be locked, while all these other doors are unlocked. So we shouldn't be over there because someone could let somebody into roads west, and that's just a bad idea. Also, vending machines are not being used only because we offer food, and there's no reason for them to be over there if we're offering free food. But we are using the lobby. We got the lobby if we said we'd pay for an extra officer. That's kind of how that worked out. So we have more security, which is always a great thing. As of budget-wise, we're pretty under budget. I ordered some food. We're hopefully looking to order more food. We have scones like last year. This year we have a fruit tray, so we feel we have a more healthier non-bread option. And we have the same amount of coffee and do some turnover with Red Bull. We're working through that, but I hope to get something. But again, Red Bull's of my least concern when I want to get this event up and running and be successful. So, does anybody have any questions specific to late night?
Senator Carlton.
How many estimated show up tonight?
It's between 150 and 200 per night.
Okay.
Anything else?
Senator Aaron.
I just had a comment. I've been talking to a lot of people, and apparently I've been getting feedback about how we haven't been advertising enough. So I just, like, future reference, I guess we might want to think about that. I mean, I thought we were fine, but I've been hearing about how we haven't been advertising the dates enough.
Yeah, and what that was this is a different date structure as the last year, and that wasn't decided till later than what I would like, and because there was some communication in the early semesters that didn't kind of match up to what I thought late night was, and so I didn't want to make anything advertisements without a very solid date, because I didn't want to waste that money. So that's why that is, and I agree, and hopefully we can change that next semester. Any other questions? All right. Off to getting people to do for their nights. So if I've asked you for a night, I apologize, but I'm human and I lose things. So, John Fedor, I know you gave me a date. Are you still fine with Monday, Wednesday?
Can I do Tuesday, Wednesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yep.
Oh, hold on a second.
Okay,
Next.
we'll skip. I have Allie, is Sunday still good? Alright, Emily, is Monday, Wednesday still good? Okay, Jake.
You said Tuesday, right?
Okay, I don't have you down, but that's because I'm Alright, next is Hazem, you still good for Tuesday?
I am still
Alright, Senator Ortenzio.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Alright, Samuel Santa. I'm also for both names, and I'm not secretary. Okay. James?
I'll talk to you.
Talk to you, okay. Senator Dan. Dan.
Tuesday, is it still available?
Most of these dates are available. I may be sending emails for asking you to move, but that's only if you can. I don't expect people to move if they're unable. Okay.
Oh, she's not here anymore. Okay. Alexa?
Yeah.
Alexa, we'll do it this way.
Wednesday.
Ariana, or Senator Costa. Let's keep it official.
I said I mean for Monday, that's good. Alright.
Senator Waco is Monday, Wednesday, is that still good? Senator Taylor.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Senator Walsh, is Sunday and Monday still good?
Yes.
Senator, okay, Senator Dar.
Tuesday.
Senator Dar-Music.
I can't sign for it.
Okay, I need to get a reasoning after the Senate meeting.
Okay. Senator Zaki. Is it okay if I come a smidge late?
Perfectly fine.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Senator McGreevy.
Monday?
Monday.
Senator Boychuk.
I'll do Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Senator Ward.
Sunday.
If that changes, you can email me.
Senator Saab, is Tuesday still good for you? Yes. All right. Senator Hooks left. President Fedor.
Tuesday, Wednesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yes. Senator Oliver.
I can do Monday.
Oh, okay.
Monday.
Yes, Monday. Senator Schropping.
I'll talk to you after.
Cool.
Senator Aziz is not here. Senator Cheatham left. Okay. Senator Carlton.
I'll be okay.
Cool. Senator Chenameni? Yeah. Okay. Senator Sanders.
I can do Monday or Tuesday. I can only do one or the other though.
Alright, you'll be Tuesday then.
Okay. Senator Akram, is Sunday still good for you?
Yes.
Senator Sharp.
Are we doing it Thursday?
Yes.
Director Prossman.
Which I
Oh,
got.
Jared talked to you. Okay. Let's see. Director Musara. Director Roy. Director Cox.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Director Cole.
Monday or Wednesday.
Good. And Senator Watson.
I said Sunday or Thursday, or both.
Okay. I'll put you down for Thursday then.
Okay.
Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look to see if some days are more heavy than others, and I'm gonna email people if they're available to move. If you can't move, I understand, because a lot of these schedules are based on finals. Yes.
How
Oh,
long
I
do you
don't
have to
do
be
that,
there?
but-
You're fine. Senator Asking go.
How long do you have to be there for?
I would like for you to be till the very end, but if there is a reasoning for it, then speak to me.
Well, because I have a exam at 8:30 on Friday, but I'm not gonna have to study for it. But I do like get.
You can
some
communicate all this to
Yeah.
Director Bowling afterwards.
Even just arranging it with the other people who are there, making sure at least one person's there till 3, because as it gets later on, less and less people are there to be responsible for. So.
But the reason that I would like people there is because at the end I don't want it to be like 3 people there and then we're screwed in trying to set down.
Senator Ortenzio.
Can we show up a day that we aren't scheduled to help?
Yes, for days that you're not scheduled for, you can just email me, or I'm gonna get the list of directors and Ivor who are heading that night, required to go to the day in which you signed up for, and that's at least 1 day.
Cool.
Alright,
Senator Alto.
For my shift on Monday, is it okay if I'm a little late, because I work till 10, I think?
that's perfectly fine.
I think, okay.
Okay.
Alright, lastly, for the raffles we are having prizes, and that will be Vice President Dusky.
So we're doing it a little bit different this year. Last year, we announced it at midnight or something as people were trying to study and watch our Twitter and Facebook and everything. That's not helping people study. So this year, when they check in, there'll be raffle tickets, and so they get a raffle ticket when they check in, and then there's jars that are labeled for the different prizes. We have a parking pass, a $100 bookstore gift card, a bookstore goodie basket with a whole bunch of stuff in it. So they'll be able to put their ticket into whichever thing that they want to win. They can earn additional tickets by showing an SGA member. By the way, you should be wearing your shirts if you don't have one.
Please wear your shirts because that's the reason we bought them, and if you don't wear them, it seems pretty wasteful to me.
So they'll approach you and show you that they're either following us on Facebook, Twitter, or if they brought a canned good. That's how you can earn extra tickets. And then, of course, every night that you come, you can get another ticket for when you check in. If you're working and you're closing, make sure that you take extra care of the tickets. You know, people get really nervous about that kind of stuff if you're just going to throw the jar of tickets over and not lose it or something like that. So make sure it all goes into a safe space, and then when you bring it out, put them all together. And then wherever the table is set up, where SGA members are at, the tickets should be somewhat near that so that we have an eye on it to make sure nobody is messing with it or anything like that. Randy will, I'm sure who's ever there, will tell you where the things you can get them from and put them out at. It's pretty similar. There's a room that we used last year that the things will be in, I guess. So.
All right, any final questions?
Can we just clarify that no SGA members are eligible for the raffle?
Yes, no SGA members are eligible for raffle.
Thank you for that, Treasurer Roy.
Thank you very much.
Senator Costa.
What time do you want us there by?
I'd prefer you to be there at 9:30 for setups. And if you can't do that for work or whatever reason, I understand that setup is particularly easy. What I need people there for is definitely check-ins for the people already in the library, because that's super important, and also to help with check-ins because sometimes there is a line outside the library. So those two are definitely important, and we definitely need people there. But I understand that life happens.
Okay, thank you, Director Bowling. Senator Schroffnick, I'm gonna hold off on you 1 second. I'm really sorry. We need to really quickly go through collab with Director Cole, and then we will look into the ratification of a possible new senator. So, and if hopefully we'll get through these things very, very quickly. I know you guys have worked on your senator reports, and we will get to them, but time is an issue right now, so please bear with me. Director Cole.
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible. Obviously, we're running a little late. So, there's our issue with collab right now is that we are running low on funds that are already allocated to us for what we want to do next semester. So right now, I have 2 things today that I want to get passed, or I would like to get passed, that are a total of $15,000. Right now, we only have $3,000 still left in our budget. So one solution to this is for the future, we are going to try to get GFAC money, about $25,000 from GFAC into our budget. This is not guaranteed, but I would say likely to get, but it's not guaranteed. I just want to make sure you know that. So right now is what I would like to do is get, this would be my proposal, is to get $25,000 from finance and to use that money to fund these 2 events that I have that I want to also get funded today and for future events for the spring semester. But it's up to you guys how much money we get for the next semester. The 2 events that I would like to get funded are $10,000 for the $5,000 for the IEEE VEX robotics competition. It's been held 2 years now. This will be the 2nd year. It's going to be an annual thing. Gets other colleges from around our region here. Gets our engineering students opportunities to see other engineering students build their robots. It's a fun competition. I really support this, and so does our committee. The other one is an early aerospace engineering conference. It'll be held in the spring. I don't think they have a final date, but it's kind of like the speech and hearing conference. There's going to be schools from around the region, Michigan, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and it's basically going to be the same thing for and that's aerospace engineering club. So those are the 2 things I would like to propose, and then I need fund, but I think first I would need a proposal to fund collab from finance.
Okay. Would anyone be willing to make this motion? I mean, it's up to the Senate's discretion, so.
I would like $15,000, but up to 25 would be preferable.
Senator Boychuk.
I move to allocate $25,000 from the Finance Committee to the Collaboration Co-Sponsorship Committee.
Senator Ortenzio?
I second that.
Okay, and is there any discussion on the matter? And are there objections? So the motion passes with general consent. Okay, so next, Director Cole.
So then now I need a motion for $5,000 for VEX, and then $10,000 for aerospace.
Again, this is the discretion of the Senate.
Yeah, this is the discretion of the Senate. This is our, and this did not get passed through collab committee because we didn't get quorum at our last meeting. But
Senator Washington.
I just quick comment, I guess. When I spoke with Jake about the AIAA airspace event and the bikes competition, he mentioned that this money might not be guaranteed from GFAC, and that it might not be, just from what Jake was saying to me earlier, it might not be wise to allocate this much money to these 2 organizations yet. I don't know if that's still your opinion, but
Treasurer Wayne, would you like to?
I think it would be bad to miss out on funding 2 events, especially when the conference is bringing all these schools to our school, which is really important. And VEX is someone we've partnered with in the past. And I've said a million times, we need to utilize the budget, and we should be looking for opportunities to do that. I think if we make a good proposal to GFAC, we could potentially be refunded some or all of that money. It's still a lot of money to move, and you got to think there's some risk we won't get any of it back, and if we don't, then that's $28,000 less that we have to get to student groups. But that's kind of a very negative outcome that we might not back that one.
Senator Woodchuck.
Well, I mean, I personally support both of these events because I'm an engineering student, and I know the people that are sponsoring this event or that are organizing this thing. So for both the areas, we had the VEX robotics competition, and for example, VEX was a very successful event last year, and this AIAA event will bring in dozens of schools from 5 or 6 states, and it's something that the engineering college VEX as well, the administration is aware of it, and the local AIAA chapter supports this as well. So I guess I'd just like to make a motion then, or move to allocate $5,000 from the CoLab budget to fund VEX Robotics, the VEX Robotics competition, and $10,000 from CoLab to fund the AIAA conference next semester.
Senator Gerges.
I second.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to allocate $5,000 from CoLab to sponsor the VEX Robotics competition and $10,000 to fund the AIAA competition. So, is there any discussion on the matter? Senator.
I just have a quick question. So if we don't get the money back from GPEC, does that mean we have just the $10,000 that we just allocated from the finance committee and then $3,000 of the remaining budget? We have that left for the spring semester then? Is that what we have for in the future? And then do you anticipate like a lot of potentially?
I'm going to guess that we're gonna have 1 or 2 more people that come to us in the spring.
Okay.
And that'd just be my guess. Honestly, I think we had 3 or 4 that came to the spring last year. So it could be any amount.
Okay.
Honestly.
And do you think like the 13, do you think that's like a safe cushion? Like this is worst case scenario, obviously. Like doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's a good enough cushion, honestly.
Okay.
Treasurer Wainer?
Would the Senate move to discuss or stipulate that this would be the one and only time we take finance committee money and rely solely on GPEC to refill should we need to do that?
I think that'd be a good idea because I don't want to foresee going back to finance committee because I would like to get the GPAC money. And honestly, we have enough money to fund the events that we would need to fund. So, I don't think.
Okay. Are there any more points of discussion? Okay, so once again, the motion on the floor is to allocate $5,000 to VEX Robotics and $10,000 to AIAA. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, thank you for that, Director Cole. Okay, up next, order please. Up next, Secretary Lasso will handle the ratification of a possible new senator.
So our newest applicant has been sitting quietly, waiting in the back. Malik, if you want to stand up and introduce yourself and tell the Senate why you are in part, and then you can take questions.
I was going to come up front, but
You can come up front. Come on up
That's
front.
fine. My name is Malik Kawam. I'm a sophomore, and I'm in the College of Urban Affairs, and as well as the class on International Relations. And I believe that I can have a pragmatic role in affecting the impact of my college experience as well as the rest of the university's experience. And it's important to me to see that this university thrives. And I think that we're doing a great job where we are right now. And I'd like to be a part of contributing to that.
Malik will be serving as either at-large or liberal arts and social sciences, wherever you guys want to put him. Does anyone have any questions?
Do you have a preference?
No. I'd like to be at large so that I'm more diverse and I can collaborate with everyone.
Okay. We don't have any questions, sorry.
No? Good?
Director Crossman?
I'll ask a question. What types of issues would you like to address on behalf of your future constituency that you could perhaps tackle as a senator?
As a senator, I'd like to definitely tackle getting the commuters more involved and aware of the issues that we're working on. I think that more student involvement would definitely have a good impact. So if we could make everyone aware of what's going on and work for more collaboration, then I think that could have a very positive impact.
Okay.
We recommend that somebody makes a motion.
Does anyone have any questions before I make a motion? Director Volek?
I don't have a question, but I just have a comment. Meeting Malik for the first time this semester and also having 2 classes with him. he definitely is a talker, but among that of talking about substance, and it's in the classes I've had with him, he definitely contributes to conversations, and he also is very active on students' behalf, even to the point where people would probably like him to be quiet, but he probably won't, but I think he's really good for the Senate.
Good. Senator Gerges.
I move to ratify Malak Quam.
And the at-large position or the liberal arts and social sciences?
At-large.
At-large, okay. And Senator Costa.
I second.
Okay, so the motion is to ratify Malak, what's your last name? Quam to the at-large Senate seat. I saw a few hands. Is there any more discussion on the matter? Okay, and are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Welcome to the Senate.
Before I leave, I need the floor for a minute for a public service announcement. Sorry, for committee meetings, I totally get that, like, stuff happens, I actually overslept through mine, but I'm not gonna, I just wanna just tell you guys, there was a situation that happened where a senator, unspecified Senator A, asked unspecified Senator B if they could go to the meeting, and unspecified Senator B had prior obligations, and it wasn't like a full commitment, and I didn't find out until, you know, last minute, so I am frantically calling like 50 people, sorry if I blew up your phones. I finally got someone to go, they did a great job. So just can you let me know, like if you can't go to a committee meeting, I totally get it, even if it's last minute, like hit me up, Facebook, text me, anything, please, just call me, like so that, you know, we could get to those, all right? You cool? All right.
Thank you, Secretary Salas. Okay, so here's the deal, 7:15 now, I called this meeting to order at 5:04, that means we can go until 7:34 without making a motion to extend this meeting. So, let's try and get through as many senator reports as we can until that time. Alright, so, oh gosh, okay, so, up now, oh, Senator Schroffnagel.
Hey everybody, so Senator Aziz and I met with the Dean of the College of Science and Health Professions this morning. And we talked about many things. We talked about the career fair, how to make that more effective for science students. We also talked about following up with students who have graduated in a more effective way, because a lot of them, we're losing touch with them, we're not getting the data that we need. About internships they've had in different places that they've worked. Also, the geology major is no longer going to be here at CSU starting next fall. So there's just not enough interest. And they want to move those funds to areas of growth within the college. We also talked about the new building, and they're breaking ground on Monday. And we talked about better utilization of student space. So we had a really productive meeting.
Solid. Thank you, Senator Schroffnagel. So, okay, cool. Senator Walsh, Senator report. And let's shoot for 2 minutes. I don't mean to rush. I know you guys worked pretty hard on this. I'm just sorry. A lot went down, I guess.
So I met with the interim dean of students, Dr. Yarbrough, and we talked about one of the things. Seems like a nice guy. Probably like 30 minutes of personal stuff, and we were like, oh, we gotta talk about problems, and we talked about two problems that always come up with tobacco ban, and recent problem or recent issue to some students, the change of name of college. And so we brought up another thing that we need to get more students involved with SGA, bringing up more problems that what their problems are, to get their voice out, so we need better outreach to students. So I'm going to try working on getting more students involved with SGA and getting their voices heard. So that's pretty much like the gist of it. So any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Senator Walsh. Okay, Senate report from Senators Ward, Carlton, and Saab.
Man, I remember when we used to clap before and after. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mohammed A. Saab, Senator of College Liberal Arts and Social Science, and this semester I have a new partner in crime. My former partner in crime, Terrence Morris, went to the zoo one day, became a lion, teamed up with a kung fu fighting monkey, and got his own TV show. So can you guys give a lovely hand to our awesome new Senator, Monica Ward? And another hand to our graduate seat Senator, Rebecca Carlton.
Alright, so on November 26, 2013, we met with Dean Sadlick of class, and pretty much the provost went over everything I was going to talk about. She stole my thunder. He told us that he wants SGA to promote going to the academic advising. Students really need to stop self-advising, especially with this new system. He said that, the people that are going to be affected are the sophomores and juniors, so sorry to the sophomores and juniors, but you're going to have to choose between the old system and the new system, and you have to meet with an advisor. If you go at it alone, you'll probably get really confused and mess yourself up. He also said that the university is looking more towards retention. We discussed things that are going on at SGA, like the late night study, extended hours for the library, the giving 3 credits to the veterans, homecoming. He said he really appreciated all these ideas. He thought they were fantastic. He's really supportive of the things that we're doing at SGA. He thinks we're really important to the university. He especially liked the School of Communication reunion that happened at homecoming this year. He said that was really nice to see alumni and whatnot. He also said the gift of $10 million to the engineering college is wonderful, and he hopes someday class will get a donation like that. We discussed recruiting more international students. He recently went to China, and he wants to recruit more international students because it's important for university students to have an international experience and also to bring students to America, et cetera, et cetera. Any questions?
He is the man who gets around. Went to China, people.
Thank you. All right, next. Senator Saab, the entertainer. All right, next senator report. Senators Mardick, Sharp, and Durgas.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Senator Durgas. This is Senator Mardick, Senator Sharp. So we're working on a library project to keep the library open past 10 p.m. We're trying to do Sunday through Thursday and either have it close at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, we saw a long process for this project. I talked to the dean, not the dean, the director of the library, November 5th, and we went over some stuff as to the problem of what it would take to keep the library open. So basically it's just funding and staffing late at night. And so we're still trying to work on getting the security and stuff like that for the library.
We got some ideas what we're going to do. Maybe one of them would be installing a pad of some kind and scanning your ID to get in, so we wouldn't have to have somebody watching us completely.
Yeah, so we just sent out a couple surveys and trying to gauge the interest of the students and see if it would be worth it to open the library past 10.
But it's a work in progress. We're shooting for middle of spring, around before spring break. That's it.
So the next half of the spring semester, she's going to open the library till 12 in the morning, just to see if people will come. So like on our part, we need to like advertise that it's going to be open past 12 or past 10, and just kind of make use of the library if you're there.
The people that we were going to try advertising is to the students that are already using the libraries from like 7 to 10, and seeing if they would be interested into staying after if they can, if it's open. So that's our target right now.
And that's pretty much it.
That's it.
No, next one. All right. That that sound will notify you when it's time to sit down. Let's make that the rule now. All right, Senators Waco, Haskin, and Dar for your senator report.
Hi, good evening. I'm Caroline Dar.
I'm Alexa.
And I'm Audra. For our senator report, our project, we did a form. Unfortunately, no one showed up to it. So we had, and the form was what SGA does for you. And it was just explaining what we did, or what we do in SGA. And instead, we asked people in the common area of the SGA office any input that they had and any concerns that they had that student government could help out or just input. The most that we received was the credit hour changes and
Oh, I passed out, thanks for letting it, said you put that up too over there.
yep, we advertised that, but that was basically it. So, thank you.
Vice President Dusky?
What were their concerns with the 3 to 4 credit, or what were their comments?
When it was gonna go into place, and one person asked if it was gonna change the length of our semesters, and that was basically just when it was going in, and the major changes it was gonna require.
Did you guys feel comfortable answering those kind of questions?
Well, not the semester change, because I've never heard of that, but with the 3 to 4 credit hours, I know it's gonna go into effect next fall, so that was just an answer that I could give them.
Any more questions?
Treasurer Weiner?
What can we do to help you guys have a better turnout at forums? Do you think you need different types of support, or?
Honestly, I don't know. I put it on the campus forum. We have a process for that, and I told all my friends. She told all of her friends, and I think honestly, I'm not sure what more we can do except for maybe try to get out sooner that we're having it.
Yeah, more advertising.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Director Azir couldn't make it, and I skipped Treasurer Wainer's second agenda item, so if he could come here very quickly and tell us about his interaction hours proposal.
Oh, wait, you skipped Director Azir. John just told me to come up and do it.
Oh, okay. Can you stand by for a second?
Sorry.
Senator Taylor.
I'll make it quick. We're just going to show you the SGA retreat agenda, which is on January 18th from 10 to 4. We had 3 speakers in the morning, and those are all verified. There's 2 different topics. We will print out the agenda for the next meeting. We want to know if anyone wanted to go to Golden Corral at like 6-ish after the meeting. Just by show of hands, how many of you guys would actually go? All right.
Male bonding, I guess.
Stop really wants to go. Okay. Is that all you have? All right, thank you, Senator Taylor. All right. Treasurer Waiter, I'm sorry. Put you off for
Gotta get more people on board for Golden Corral. Yeah, so the one thing that I was kind of talking to a few people about that I just want to get your feedback on are interaction hours. So at OSGA, one of the things that stuck out to me was that University of Toledo hosts what they call interaction hours. Their senators have to do similar office hour requirements like we all do, but they actually do them out in the campus area. So they'll set up a table in what would be their version of the interlink, and you would do your office hours out there at a table, with the intent being you're going to be talking to students and trying to get specific feedback on certain issues. So my idea that I'm hoping you will help me flesh out over winter break and maybe the first week or 2 of next semester would be, how are all of us willing to do half of our office hours or a portion of our office hours out in the interlink or in other areas if we provide a table, provide some signage, provide some tablecloths, and anything else we as a group decide would be effective to do that. And then how can we make sure if we do an hour at a table, it's going to be an effective hour versus an hour where I have some downtime, so I'm looking at pictures on the internet or something, or you're playing chess or things like that. You know, so I think a major issue we have is we're not engaging with the student body, and we're taking our opinions as reflective of the whole opinion of the student body, just because we're kind of informed on some of these issues.
Senator Tenzio?
I know PR has been a little busy this first semester. We haven't really done much with the marketing days, but I know Rebecca plans to do much more marketing days, like include like for our office hours. So I know that plans to go into effect to go out and like I know after we've walked around and distributed in certain items before, like for advertising and stuff. And she plans to go out and do more marketing days for our office hours. So that is in effect will be more of a prominent factor next semester. So
Well, if you recall, like all the things we do as part of our job is like the definition of office hours is pretty broad. So
Yeah.
if you're out there doing that, that counts. But if you're so that would be essentially an interaction hour. But I think if we're doing more hours in the office with the doors closed or just ajar, maybe we could transfer to doing a table because in Interlink, all the sororities, all the student groups, there's always lines and lines of tables, and we're not the ones who are out there when we should definitely be the ones who are out there. So I guess as far as I flesh this out would be, let's see what university committees we're all on, and we'll make a crib sheet for each of you. If you're on this committee, here's the 5 questions you need to ask during your interaction hour. Give us half of your office hours at this table, it's just 1 hour. And try and fill out 10 copies of this little sheet, you know? That it'll go by lightning quick and students will at least maybe see our faces a little more and think we're trying to understand their opinion versus just take it as though we know what's best and we kind of go to committees and that, you know? So.
Senator Gerges?
So me and Senator Hooks were actually talking about next semester trying for a center project to just have like a table specifically for SGA out in the Interlink.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
On Student Center. So like, I don't want to have it like in our corner where the SGA office is. I want it to be like right smack dab in the middle. So like everyone walks by.
Some of us are thinking about this same idea with different titles, you know? So I hope, just because we're running out of time, if I can give us a better proposal for this next semester and show you maybe this is what the cheat sheet's going to look like. Here's your 5 questions for the PBAC committee that I sit on to see what students think. Maybe you all will be comfortable to sitting at the table and actually, I know it's tough to talk to people you don't know, and when a lot of us are shy, we're not all sobs, you know, but we can be prepared and have an effective office hour and then still have your time to do your own work as the other half. So I'll give you a more firmed up proposal on that next semester.
Senator Costa.
I was also talking to Andrea, and we decided, like, we were thinking about having like each student, whatever their major is, be in that college. Like, so one day, like, have people in urban, because not many people that are in urban come out this way. So have like specific days where they're in urban building and there's business people in the business building.
So these are good things I didn't think of. I'm going to send an email to you all and you just reply with what you think.
Okay.
And then, you know, next semester, if we try for a semester and find that it's effective, we can maybe try and write it into the ops manual or something and make it lasting if it's going to be a helpful thing to do.
Senator Martin.
I was also thinking to distinguish us from other tables, use that kiosk that we're going to order.
Yeah, that's another good point. Well, you'll have that now, you know, so.
I think that this is shown effective. For when we talked to Toledo, their percent rate of people voting is 40%, and in Ohio, that's totally absolutely absurd. Like, most of us are between 10 and 15. So the fact that Toledo can get 40% of their student body to vote in student government, that's showing that these interaction office hours are working.
Yep.
And so I think that this could be really effective.
So if you have input, just reply to my email over break for a minute.
I like that idea. Cool. All right, thank you, Treasurer Waiter. And sorry that we have to come bring this message to a hasty close like this, but there are time constraints. Obviously, we had a longer than expected beginning to this meeting, so I do appreciate you guys bearing with me. It's been a great semester. Thank you guys for all your work, and I officially adjourn this meeting at 7:32.